Hey guys, welcome to Artland. Today I'm really excited to show you guys how to make a really cool shark art lesson. This is a great lesson for the younger grades, especially in kindergarten and first grade. The materials are really simple and easy to use, and no matter how they do it, this project always turns out really cool. So thanks for joining us today, and I cannot wait to show you guys how to make this awesome art lesson. So, our shark project is going to be looking something like this. Now, this project is really cool because there's lots of different ways to do it, and it's really cool to see how the sharks turn out and all the different ways they can look. So, let's talk about the supplies that we're going to need first to make this really cool shark picture. So, first things first, you're going to need 2 pieces of 9x12 drawing paper. You're going to need a 3" by 9" piece of blue construction paper. You're going to need a 3" by 4" piece of white construction paper, and then a 3" by 4" piece of black construction paper. You're also going to need some crayons. You're going to need a black, a white, a red, green, blue, and purple for the various details on the shark. You're going to need some glue, some scissors, a cup of water with some paintbrushes, and then you're going to need some watercolor paint. Now, I like to use this liquid watercolor paint, and you're going to need blue and black when using this. So this is going to be for the colors of our shark. And then if you guys want to use a pencil to draw this out first, that always works really good. I'm just going to draw this right out by hand. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we are going to need is I'm going to be taking my black crayon and 1 piece of drawing paper. So I'm going to draw the shark first. So to do this, I'm going to start at the bottom of my paper, and I'm just going to make a really tall curve. I'm going to go over that one more time just to really get a nice dark line. Now you can also use oil pastels with these, and those will really give you some nice color. So after I draw that curve on this side, I'm going to draw the same curve on this side. And I'm going to go over it one more time just to give it a really nice dark effect. Now, after I have my shape of my shark drawn, then I want to add some details. So the first detail I want to add are the eyes. So I'm going to draw a big circle right here, and then another big circle over here. Then inside of this, I'm going to draw 2 small circles at the top. And then I'm going to color in the inside of my big circle with my black crayon. I'm going to color it all in and just leave that little circle white. The reason I'm doing this is because when sharks go to bite, they kind of roll their eyes back and their eyes look black, and they sometimes have a little white shine to it. So I just wanted to add that just like that. Now, while I have my black, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to make 2 curved lines, kind of like parentheses, and that's going to be the nose of the shark. Now, after I'm done with that, I'm going to put my black crayon away, and I need to get my white crayon out. Now, this is not going to show up on here, but you'll be able to get the idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my white crayon and I'm going to make a white squiggly line all the way around my shark. I'm leaving plenty of space in between the edge of my shark and the line. So I'm going to do that just below the nose, and I'm going to come all the way down towards the eye. And I'm just going to retrace that just to get a nice dark line on here. If you were using oil pastels, they would show up a little bit darker. Now, once I'm done with my white, then I need my red crayon, and I'm going to draw the gills of the shark. So all I'm going to do is draw 3 red diagonal lines on each side of my shark. Just like that. So Now that I have that done, I want to move on to cutting this out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take my scissors and I'm going to just cut out my shark. I'm going to cut right next to that black line. We don't want to cut out that black line. We just want to cut right next to it. I always tell my little kids when cutting, you want to make sure to cut nice and slow. Make sure you're always turning the paper, not your scissors. And imagine that this is your little pet crocodile and you are feeding it paper and you want to give it nice big cuts. So when you're done, you're going to have a little shape like this. Kind of looks like a little silly ghost. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start painting this. So I'm going to get my liquid watercolor paint and my Watercup and brushes. Now, I used a little bit of blue and a little bit of black right here. So what I'm going to do is first, I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to add a little bit of water with this. So I'm going to get some paint. I'm going to get a quick dip in the water. And then I'm going to just kind of paint this around. Now, because I used crayon, the wax in the crayon does not mix with the water in the paint. So I'm just going to brush this right up against that, and that's kind of serves as a nice barrier so that when kids are painting this, they don't go all over the place. So I'm going to keep it nice and wet and just kind of spread some of this paint around here. Get a little more water and just kind of spread this around. Now, while this is wet over here, I'm going to wash off my brush. I'm going to get a little bit of black paint, not much, just a little bit. Do a quick dip in the water. And I'm going to spread a little bit of black onto here. And the reason I'm doing this is just kind of creates like a blue-gray tone to it, which gives it a little bit more of like a natural color for the shark. So I'm just going to kind of spread this around in here. So I'm just going to keep repeating this process all the way until I get to the top of my shark. So I'm going to go all the way around. Make sure that you're always getting some paint and then dipping it in the water, because this liquid watercolor paint, it's really, really intense. So sometimes when you just dip it straight in the paint, put on your paper, it's really dark and kind of overpowers everything. So I'm just going to kind of spread this around. And you'll see in some of the spots, you'll kind of see where my white crayon was. So I'm just going to spread this around and fill in the whole thing. Make sure you're getting lots and lots of water when doing this. And the nice thing, you can kind of paint right on top of those gills. Just like that. So then I'm going to get a little bit of my black paint, wash off my brush, lots of water, and I'm just going to spread this around. So now I have my shark all painted and colored. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry. So I'm going to push this off to the side, and I'm going to let this dry. Now, while I'm letting that dry, I'm going to get my other piece of drawing paper, and this is going to be my water. So what I'm going to do first, before I do any painting on this, I want to make some lines on here to make it look a little bit more like water. So I'm going to take some of these different colored crayons. I'm going to take some blue, and I'm just going to make some real wavy lines on here. I'm going to go over them again just so I get some nice dark lines. Then think of some other colors that you would see in the water. Think of your cool colors. So we got blues. We can put some greens in here. You can throw some purple in there. And then I always like to throw in a little bit of white too. I always tell the kids that you will see some white in the water as well. So just kind of throw in some white into there as well. That always looks cool when you paint over it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint my background blue for the water. So I want this to be real light, so I'm going to get lots of water when I paint, and I'm just going to kind of spread this around. Just constantly get some paint, lots of water, and then just kind of spread this around. Now this is a great way too that if you want to get out more colors of paint, you can get out some greens, you can get out some purples, and you can really let the kids kind of blend all these colors together. So you just want to get lots and lots of water and really spread out this paint. And the cool thing is, like I said before, because the wax and the crayon doesn't mix with the water and the paint, you start to see all those crayon colors really pop out. So we just want to get lots of paint on here. And this is always a good time to really practice those painting techniques with your kids. I've got a smaller brush here, but a nice big brush always works really well. So we're just going to paint this entire background here. Now, once you have your whole picture painted in your blue, like I said, you can always add some other colors like purples and greens and different things in there as well. So once you have this whole thing colored, then what you're going to do is you just want to set it off to dry, because we're going to come back to this in a little bit. Now, while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm going to bring my shark picture back out. And I need to make one of the most famous parts of the shark, and that is the mouth. So, to draw the mouth, I'm going to get out my small piece of black paper. I know it's kind of hard to see on the black background. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my white crayon, and on this paper, I'm going to draw a nice big sad face. And then I'm going to draw a smaller sad face on here, like this. Now, it almost kind of looks like a moon shape if you turn it. Then, once you're done with that, you just want to cut it out. Nice and slow. Sometimes you can always just kind of cut it out like this, and then that way you can leave it like that. It's a little bit easier. But I always like to challenge my kids and make them cut out a moon shape like this. So then I'm going to flip this over. So this is going to be the mouth of my shark. So the kids always like to play around with this. You can put the mouth like this. Sometimes you get kids that want a happy shark, so they'll make a little happy shark like that. Totally up to you. So since we made a normal looking shark right here, let's go ahead and we'll make a happy shark. So I'm actually going to make this mouth just a little bit smaller. So I'm going to trim off a little bit more. Depending on how big your kids draw the shark and where they put the eyes, you might have to kind of adjust it a little bit. So that'll be a good mouth right there for my shark. So what I'm going to do next is I need to take a little bit of glue, and I'm going to put some glue on here. I always tell my kids lots of dots, globs are for slobs. So we want lots of little dots on there. And then I'm just going to glue the mouth of my shark down just like that. Next, what we want to do is we want to make some teeth for our shark. So I'm going to take my white piece of paper, and this is a great time for you to use a pencil or whatever. I'm just going to use my black crayon, and I'm going to draw some triangles. So I don't need my triangles very big because the mouth of my shark is not very big. So I'm going to draw 3 here, and then I'm going to draw 3 here. Then I just need to cut these out. So I'm going to cut out my nice little triangles. Make sure you don't have your kids draw them too small, or else they'll be sitting there trying to make 10 million little teeth inside of there. And also, you don't want them to be too big either, or else they won't really fit inside the mouth of the shark, and it won't look right. So, now that I have my teeth, I'm just going to take my glue and put a small dot of glue on the back. And then I'm just going to start placing them in the mouth of my shark. So you just want to put a few at the bottom, a few at the top. Just like this. Put one more right here at the bottom. You can put these kind of close together. You can spread them out. Totally up to you, however you guys want to do it. Just got to put a couple more on here. And there we go. Now we have a shark with a mouthful of teeth. So I could have made some of those teeth a little bit smaller, but that's okay. It totally works. So now, after you have that, and always make sure to tell your kids to close the caps on their glue. So once you're done with that, then we need to get our water paper that was drying, and we need to glue our shark onto our background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip my shark over, and I'm going to open up my glue, and I want to put lots of dots all over the back of my shark. Now, I want to make sure that I'm getting towards the edge as well, because if you don't get towards the edge, sometimes the sharks tend to kind of curl up. So I'm going to get all these dots on here like this. Then I always like to just kind of hover over where I want this to go. I'm going to keep him towards the top just a little bit because I want to leave a little bit of space at the bottom. So just going to press him down like that. And he's looking good. Now, the final step is we need to add a little wave of water. So that's why you need your little 3x9 piece of blue construction paper. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paper and I'm just going to make a wavy line on here like this. Then I just want to cut this out. Just like this. Make sure you're constantly turning your paper, not the scissors. Then I'm going to take my little bit of water, make sure that it fits down here. Perfect. I'm going to flip it over. Lots of dots again. Make sure you close the lid on your glue. And then I'm just going to take this and line it up at the very bottom. And there you go. When you're all done, you have a cool looking shark. This one is a really happy shark. You can always do it different and you can make it look a little bit more scary. Some kids like to do hammerhead sharks. There's lots of different things you guys can do. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.